All right, welcome to the working group API expression. It's the 24th of November 2020. I added two topics. We have three topics on the agenda now.
I'm adding another one right now.
Great. Number one, we got a bug report last week, I think, about a problem where the managed fields got corrupted. And when looking into it, we found that it is possible for a mutating admission webhook to be outdated or maliciously update the managed fields to make them unusable. And that's kind of a problem. And Anton put the problem into two categories. Like, we should think about if we want to track managed changes by the admission chain and the managed fields now, and if it should be allowed for a mutating admission controller to change managed fields at all, and what we do if they are incorrect or corrupt or whatever. And I wanted to bring it up here again.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention is how are we going to be able to change that behavior in the future? Like, is there any specific path that allows us to change our mind later? The question is, if is there whatever we do, are we going to have to stick with it forever? Because it'd be nice if we have the I like when I can change my mind.
Yeah, I don't know why. Um, I think, like, if we the biggest problem about changing our mind would be the failing requests part or failing the admission chain part, because if we decide we let changes, like, we don't give an error to the user now and we go to GA and we at some point give an error to the user, it would technically not be backwards compatible. I think so. That would kind of, that could be a problem. We would have to, I think we had a few discussions about that before, like the validation ratcheting and stuff like that. Aside from that, whatever we do, it would only it could only become better. Like, if we just skip changes the admission chain does that are not correct. I don't think we can do anything worse than what we have right now.
If so you're focusing on the point two. What about the point one? Can we decide we're not tracking right now and later we decide we track the fields for admission chain?
I think so. We still don't exactly know how we would track, like, if we go give ownership to the admission controller or to the user.
Yeah.
Things like that. And that might become an issue when we change it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could start getting conflicts with a admission controller that you didn't have before. So that'd be a behavior change.
Yeah.
Okay, so another way of seeing that, since there's no way we're going to be able to change anything, I think, in the future, another way to make the decision could be, what is the less surprising to people? That's probably one dimension we could look at. The other one would be, what's the most likely to break? I think they're slightly related, right? What is going to be confusing and what's not, and what's actually useful.
Yeah. And both problems are kind of connected in that if one is fixed, or we do one, we track it, two is kind of resolved, because when we track changes in admission chain, we cannot allow changes to the managed fields. I think.
Yeah, they're not strictly orthogonal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. If we start tracking the changes for the admission chain, I don't know if it makes as much sense to allow admission chain to change it. I don't even. Is there a good use case for the admission chain to change the managed fields?
I thought about something, and the only one I could come up with is that you have an admission controller that always resets the managed fields to make sure you never have them.
Yeah, I mean that's mean.
To disable the feature, kind of.
Yeah, I don't see a good reason for that.
Yeah.
I think
It might be for if you have objects that would grow too big, or for the events, for example, to make sure events never have managed fields, stuff like that. If you want to make it for one resource to never have managed fields, maybe.
yeah, I mean, so the mutating webhooks are meant to be synchronous, which is different from controllers, which are asynchronous. So, I mean, whatever we say here, the question is, does it have to happen synchronously or can it happen asynchronously? So, see, for example, if you want to clean up the thing, you could have a controller that looks at the managed fields and cleans up whenever needed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be done at the request time specifically. If you wanted to have maybe a mutating webhook that says these fields should never be owned by anyone, so I'm always going to clear that up. I'm curious why this would have. I can't quite see why it would have to be synchronous either.
And are you
That
supposed to
that
do
may
that?
be.
Is it okay to have a field completely unowned?
I mean, I
Unowned?
don't know. I'm trying to see a use case where someone would want to change them. What about a
Well, maybe they would want to change the manager name. Is that possible? Like,
That's a possibility.
so that you couldn't steal each other's managers, or I don't know.
What about we definitely don't want them to change on apply. So it would only be for updates that we should allow the mutating webhook to change them, right?
I don't know why.
Because for apply, managed fields are tracked on the merge. Like we don't allow to provide them on apply. Why should the admission chain be allowed to change them?
Yeah.
Doesn't an update and an apply look the same to a webhook?
They probably do.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, okay, and then how should the webhook know what it is? Yeah.
I kind of see a admission webhook as an allowance of whether something is allowed or not. In other words, does it have, can it be admitted? I don't see them as ownership, right? Like I see it is providing admission for the thing that owns the changes. So I'm not quite understanding when an admission webhook would be responsible.
I think that's validating. Yeah, there are two types of
yep.
admission webhooks. Yeah, so the validating admission webhooks, they can still look at the managed fields either way and determine if it's accepted or rejected. But there's a second type, the mutating ones. I think that's maybe not even much of a use case. Yeah.
Maybe about like, do we agree that if we decide we track changes from the admission chain, that we shouldn't be they shouldn't be allowed to change them? Because I would think.
Yeah, probably. It's not completely, not 100%, but probably yes.
Yeah. I mean, if we say we don't allow it, what you said the synchronous asynchronous part. If we say we don't allow it, do we take away an option to change many fields? That's not true, because you can still send an update and fix them if you want to. So it really has to be something that has to be done synchronously, right? On that.
Do we want to track the admission chain changes?
I would want it because I think it's weird that the admission can change fields and nobody owns them, or it wouldn't get a conflict.
But that's already true for defaults, for example.
Okay, yeah. Then if admission change would be treated as some sort of default, yeah.
Also, I mentioned the 1.a. It's kind of odd because the admission chain sort of depends on the request, maybe. And so is there a relationship between the change made by the mutating webhook and the actual request, the parent request?
We had a camp about it, and I think I want to revise something we had there in that camp. We would have been assigning the manager name for the webhook. Thinking about it now, I think I would rather give the changes the admission chain does to the same manager as the request. So if you send a request and you change and you change something, and then the admission hook changes something else, you should I think I would like to own both because my request caused them, but they are not specifically my intent. So
Even for
question.
apply, yeah.
Especially for apply.
For apply, it's kind of odd because you haven't specified that value.
Yeah, so it's not the original intent, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, we're being very careful not to include the defaults, for example, when you apply.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it'd be kind of weird to have the mutating webhooks in there. I don't know if we have any good argument either way. Maybe we need a better idea of what the mutating webhooks can be.
Do you know if we are even able to reject requests or reject them from changing it? Because right now we allow them to change it. So wouldn't it break the existing webhooks maybe?
Yes, it would. It would, but if we want to make a conscious decision, I think it's the best time to do so.
Yeah. Rather now than after GA.
Yeah.
And the webhooks that would currently that we would break with that already break the system because they send managed fields that then create an object that you can't apply to anymore.
They break it asynchronously, which is worse.
Well, they could do a valid change to the managed fields, like removing it or something.
Yeah. So if we wanted to keep the same behavior as today, which is one option, the answer to these questions would be we do not track the changes made by the admission chain. We allow admission chain to change the managed fields. We validate that the changes are valid, and if they are not valid, then
we reset to before.
We reset it. Yeah, that'd be the most consistent with what we're doing.
Yeah. And with that, even if we decided that we want to track the admission chain in the future, it wouldn't necessarily conflict. That would still be possible.
How?
Because we just track changes made to to request to the object after by the admission chain and add them to the managed fields. That it might even be possible to add them to the managed fields that admission chain might have changed before and give ownership to the admission controller.
Yeah. Okay. I think my suggestion is going to be, let's just do these.
Yeah.
What the thing that is the most consistent, and so I think it allows for people to come up. I enjoy the idea of people being able to come up with solutions to their problems, and so if they want to change the mutating web, the managed fields, I don't see a good reason to prevent them from doing that. Obviously, they shouldn't be able to break it.
And we can still send a warning with the reset, at least.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd like to prevent them from being able to send something invalid, but
yeah, that was like, I mean, there's still this failure policy thing for webhooks. Like if we put our validation into the admission part, we could send an error to, if we get from one hook we get invalid managed fields, we could fail that admission with an error, and Kubernetes could decide, or the person who registered the webhook can say, if the webhook fails with an error,
we already have that.
We skip that.
Oh no, Jenny, do you remember what's the ignore field in the admission chain? Like we have a way literally to say, if this doesn't work.
Yeah, failure policy ignore.
Yeah, failure
but that's
policy.
not about if the webhook creates a bad object. That's about if we can't reach the webhook or the webhook doesn't send a response. But I think that right now we only validate after all the admission is done.
The documentation said on any unknown error from the admission webhook.
Yeah, but the webhook changing the object into an invalid object and then sending it back to the server wouldn't be, it wouldn't cause it to ignore it or something.
Okay,
it wouldn't be an error yet. It would only be an error by then.
Okay. Okay.
So another thing that I find surprising is how aren't we supposed to just reset the managed fields when we can't decode them? Why do we actually fail the request after the mutating webhook has broken the managed fields? This bug, right? Aren't we supposed to do something when there's a failure?
I think the error was this. Maybe wait, they were running on 117. Was the fix not in 117 with where we changed? I remember where you changed the field type to be more stable.
Yeah. That's something we need to look for. And I would say if a mutating webhook today can break an object by setting an invalid managed fields, no, I mean we would reset it anyway. I'm very curious about this one specifically because I thought we would actually reset the managed fields on errors, and so if we actually do, then we don't have to change anything. If the mutating webhook breaks the managed fields, it's going to get reset the next time we do something with the object. Here specifically, that seems odd.
But to what do they get reset?
Usually to empty list, yeah.
But then we stop tracking managed fields for the object, right?
I know that's terrible, but that's what we do.
Okay.
If you've applied, you're not in a good place.
Yeah, then fixing this, like making sure we reset before persisting, would still make it a bit better.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because it would keep tracking.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Okay, but okay.
And yeah, so there are two bugs. We also should make sure that this doesn't happen. I'm curious why this happens.
Yeah, it might be because they were like the bug. They commented on the issue that it's no longer fixed with 1.18 on GKE.
Interesting.
And the assumption was that the webhook is fixed on GKE in 118, but it might also be that our fix is in 118.
I remember fixing this bug during a shelter in place, so it's not that old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was somewhat in spring or summer. I remember the PR. Okay, yeah. But a first plan of action would be to make sure we reset when the mutation sets it into invalid, and then answer the warning.
Yeah.
And the problem will be mostly fixed.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Who's inserted the item about operator and server-side apply?
That was me as well. I
Okay.
just wanted to talk about it. If we have a way to make sure people know what if they can use it and how an operator would decide to use it.
I don't see any reason not to, but I'm curious if we're documenting this use case well enough.
I was honestly surprised that there is no way to find out what feature is available to you right now, but it's, of course, there's multiple API servers with different features possibly. So
are you talking
the discussion with Jordan?
You want to know if the feature is enabled?
That's one, like in general, I ask myself if this is something the Kubernetes should provide to users, what features are available, but that's a different topic.
That sounds like a nightmare. And I think there are reasons why we don't do that.
Yeah, but in general, for servers that apply, if we can document something.
I mean, literally in kubectl, we verify whether the feature is available or not.
How do we do that?
So in the Open API, we do publish the path, So what are the endpoints available? And so if you look at the patch endpoint, you're going to see the type of the content types available.
Okay, yeah.
One of the content type is going to be apply.
That then it might be something we could add to the controller runtime tooling.
Yeah, that's a good point. In general, so what I understood from this was, are there specific use cases that are good for controllers to use SSA, and are there specific use cases where we would suggest not using SSA?
Yeah,
and I think
good one too.
we could do a much better job of describing how to even use SSA in controllers. Yeah. Because I don't think it's super clear to everyone that if you want to use that in a controller, you have to specify all the things you care about in the object before you send it. And how, because it's kind of a different paradigm for people writing controllers. And we're not describing this paradigm properly today.
And but about this, if your cluster is running one API server with servers that apply and one without, it's still not safe. That what you get from the Open API spec, or how does that work?
What do you mean? I mean, you get the Open API spec for your specific cluster.
Yeah.
If you request the Open API from the API server, and you actually can get it for specific types, and you can look at the endpoint for the specific type. So even if you have an aggregated API server that doesn't handle server-side apply, if you look at the specific type and the specific endpoint, you're going to get the answer for that type.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and if one server does support it, they should all support it.
Okay, that's documented, or that's general.
Yeah,
rule.
It's the feature should all be the same for the different servers. I mean, I guess unless someone's upgrading it, I don't really know what would happen then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We should open a bug in controller runtime for that, maybe.
Okay.
I'm working on one thing in controller runtime right now, so I can do this part, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to tie these to the apply mechanism that we're building in controller runtime.
I can't find you. Okay. That's good. Okay, then our GA requirement document from yesterday.
Yeah, so I did some brief polishing of this document, mainly just copied some stuff over from the other document and looked into the kept design of what actually needs, or what the stuff we actually need for GA. Just a brief overview. So the timeline for 121 looks to be probably the code freeze is around early to mid-March, depending on if the release team decides on a 12 or 15-week release cycle. And let's see. So I was looking at the original cap that we had for apply. It looks like the cap format has sort of changed a bit. So I think we might want to either update the cap or create a new cap for just documenting server-side apply to GA.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask someone that knows about this in the release team probably whether we need to update or do we need to create a specific cap for going to GA. I would talk to someone in the release team for that.
Okay, yeah, I can follow up for that. So I was also looking at the features that we had. It looks like the main thing that we had was the API client for server-side apply. With the rest of, it looks like most of the rest of the tasks are bug fixes.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. I would say it's mostly polishing at this point, assuming that, I mean, we don't do the status wiping and the tracking is good, which I think it is. Yeah, so yes, it's mostly the client and some polishing.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So there's a link below for, it says a RepiSide working group, API expressions, tagged issues. It looks like there's quite a couple of issues. I'm sure that we probably went through most of them, but like maybe not in this meeting, but sometime we'll probably need to just go back and see like if everything's tracked.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, from the issues to our document.
At least on the page.
I want to mention that I really like the format of the document.
Yes.
So super thank you to Jeff for doing that. I would remove the issues from the main initial document to avoid confusion.
Okay, got it.
But that looks very, very good. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm probably looking to like present this in the next API machinery sync.
Awesome. Yeah. We should definitely do some triage on the bugs and either close them, fix them, and add them to this list.
Yeah.
For our current tracked issues, can we just quickly go over them and just like double check what the status of every single one of them is?
For the bugs or?
Yeah, and not for here, just for in the document. There's just a couple.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to talk about this or just. We had a talk yesterday that was not really conclusive, and we ended with a question if we actually want to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know. We should have a meta discussion about it. As in, do we actually want to do it, and what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
but maybe not today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
Um,
like to add a status to every single one of these tasks, like just to know like what the current progress
Yeah,
is.
let's change this to it's the tracking of sub resources.
Yeah, Antoine reviewed my PR, so I have a few tasks to check. But yeah, it's there. It seems that it's making progress. So
Okay,
yeah.
I'll just mark this as an review then.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I think it looks good. There's this one thing with the test. We might want to improve the test framework for the integration tests because it's not easy to write one. But it's not, maybe after GA.
Yeah, sounds good.
We should maybe track these, by the way. Let me add one more comment. We need to also maybe post GA tasks. In this document, it's, I'm assuming that all of the things in this document are meant for GA. We need to have a specific section about the things that we plan on doing after GA.
Yeah.
Okay, I can add
And
that. Is this something we want to do for GA or post GA?
What specifically, the improvement of the tests or tracking the post GA tasks?
Oh, okay, sorry, I got confused.
No, that's fine. Yeah, so because in the document, it looks good if we show that we know what the step forwards are and that we say, okay, this is not done. We agree it's not done. We are planning on doing it, but not for GA. And this is the testing framework would be a good post GA task, I think.
Got it. Okay. I just added that bottom.
Anton, do you remember what the status part here was about? I just looked through the issue and it is closed by a PR of yours.
Because this person this is a slightly different bug. Yeah, I got confused by this item also in the sheet. This is about ownership not being tracked for some status sub-resource, but I've created a test to actually make sure that this works, and I think there was a bug somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw the test you added and it works there.
So I think that's unrelated.
Okay. Just because we have it in here, if it's still something we need to address because the issue itself is closed, or if we're done with it, then I would remove it.
Let's remove the link because I think it's confusing.
Yeah.
For dangling fields, it looks like it's a. Is this something we have a fix for, or is this something that we just need a backport?
No, we don't have the fix yet.
Okay, all right. And this is GA blocking, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I've removed the blocking because I'm assuming if they're in this document, especially in this section, that's because they're blocking.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I was considering working on that if no one else has time to do it. And I believe everyone is super busy.
I mean, I'd be interested in working in one of these if it's like something that's manageable. Like, I don't really have too much expertise in this area.
That's true, and I can see your name in front of a specific task.
This one actually might be pretty manageable because it needs a fresh look on apply in general, and that could be very good.
You're talking about the dangling field?
No, the SSA in kubectl.
I don't think there's much to do here. Okay. Here's what needs to be done. We probably need to, yes, we need to talk to 6CLI. Oh, literally we said that. Okay. Yeah. So I would probably suggest someone, maybe Julian. I think Julian would be a good candidate to go to 6CLI and talk about this.
Yeah, I
Jeff?
remember this. I can put something on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Jeff is going to talk to the SIG API machinery meeting, so maybe not back and forth.
Okay, cool.
I'll put your name, Jeff, on the dangling fields. Let's
All right.
let's
yeah.
let's talk about that. I can show you what to look for and what the bug is.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Awesome. Another name on the list.
Do you want to just keep going to the rest of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the API
Sure,
clients.
the API clients one. This one has a prototype, but it's not finished. Like, I have to do some work to convert it so that people can use it. But yeah, it's still work in progress.
Was there
Okay,
any
all right.
feedback on this, on the proposal yet? On the prototype?
Yeah, I think that Joe met with somebody about it, and maybe the controller tools group, and then they had some ideas about things to add, like to expose an extra way to interact with it and see if people prefer one or the other. So I'm gonna change that as well when I update the prototype.
Okay. Very excited for the API client.
Yeah. Do we know if we have to create to convert a controller to server-side apply before GA? That's
Yeah.
Jeff, be aware that they may ask for that.
Joe mentioned that, I don't know if it was Daniel or somebody said we should have at least a small one that uses it. It's up here somewhere in the criteria.
Yeah, in the graduation criteria, I saw those note for that.
Okay, yeah.
Controller uses SSA. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah, we should have an item in the list somewhere for that.
Okay, I'll create one for this afterwards.
Sure.
Mm.
Quantity. I am going to look at this one.
That was the
Okay,
one where Stefan said it's not right yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to Stefan, and maybe we can hack something for this specifically. I'm not excited about this, but we can look at it. I'll look at it.
API.
I'm guessing no one's working on documentation yet until we probably get the rest of the tasks done.
Yeah.
No. And actually, I'll merge it with the next one because topology is actually documentation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we have 2 more bugs.
Here, structural schema.
Yeah, this
schema,
one.
yeah.
I'm working on this one, so you can write my name on it.
Yeah.
I think the status is the same. I still have to do the testing part or get it to use the same path for both built-in and CRDs. That's one of those two.
Cool.
Okay, let us know if there's anything we can do to help Jenny with that.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, and this one we still said it's to be investigated if it's GA blocking. Did that change?
Yeah, I mean, so the export could be Jenny. You have many things to do, Jenny, already, so that's automatic. But who knows how to set up the server-side apply for the API service? I mean, you usually do these things very quickly.
Yeah. I want to, yeah, I have to look at why it's not working yet. Yeah, you can put that one to me. I think at least to look at it for now, yeah.
Cool. Okay, I think that's all the tasks.
Yeah, that's good. I'll
most of
actually, sorry, I'll move these, because it's documentation. I'll move it to the documentation section.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
3, and then we can. Is that how you did it so far? So it's a headline.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, and I'll update the table of contents after too.
Yeah. And
Oh, but it removes my comment. Oh, that's not nice. Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, so the rest of this document is mainly just boilerplate, copy and paste from the CAP structure. Just a couple of things I had some questions about. Number one is, so we need conformance tests on all our added endpoints for server-side apply. I'm not exactly sure where to find that. Do you have any pointers?
So I would expect a lot of the conformance test, and Julian can tell you more about conformance test. You know a lot of about conformance tests also, as far as I know. We have integration tests, and I would expect them to be quite similar. There is only one specific endpoint for apply.
Okay,
we also sort of need to test that update work because we're modifying all the endpoints anyway, all the modifying endpoints. But I would, what we can do for the conformance test would probably be to select specific integration tests and turn them into conformance tests. Do you know, Julian, if that's possible? I don't know if they run in a different setup for conformance
I think
test.
only end-to-end test can become a conformance test, right?
Yeah, but
right, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Jenny. I think conformance tests are E2E tests, not integration tests. But we should probably keep the same idea we have for the integration test for the E2E test.
Yeah, our integration tests don't do anything weird. We should be able to just make an end-to-end test and copy the stuff that it does, right? I think.
Yeah, I can't immediately think of any of our integration tests that would not be required if somebody wants to support apply. Our integration tests are make sure that apply works as it's supposed, and if you don't,
Yep.
we should probably translate almost all our integration tests into that.
That's a big piece of work.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can add that to the tracking tasks. Also, another question I had was around scalability. So I remember, I think, Anton, you mentioned you did some scalability tests when going to beta. Is that something we need to do again, or is that something that we already have like data points for?
So yeah, I think we've done most of the work here, and I can talk to Joe because he definitely had some numbers back then. It's my perspective is that we need to maybe mention the increase in size of objects. I don't know how much of that we've done, but that'd be interesting to measure somehow. And the test perspective, we have the data from Joe that he ran like a year ago.
Okay, cool. And do we have oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think in terms of requirements, it doesn't change the requirements for Kubernetes that the request need to reply in like 30 seconds, or I can't remember what the exact number is. I don't think that changes any of that. And I think that's pretty much what they said for CRDs. They said, yeah, the CRDs have the same requirement as the other resources. We can
Right,
show
right.
with numbers that we're not affecting that so bad. And I think that'd be good.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. That'd be good to have. Do we currently have any metrics for monitoring server-side apply?
Jenny?
We have metrics that, yeah, there's a metric already that tracks the request time, and we added something to that that would separate apply requests so we could compare them with non-apply requests. I think that's probably what we need, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so these metrics are already in place then. We don't really need to add anything new.
Right, I think we don't need to add anything new.
What do you think we add specific metrics about, like maybe the number of managers, the size of the managers, of the field set? I mean, that might be interesting.
Yeah. Do we have one that checks how often server-side apply is used? Maybe is that?
We do have that.
Yeah, we can tell that from the metrics we have, but not the size. Yeah, that's not in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can double check into it and like just put all the data into this document.
Managed field size would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right.
How many do we have? Because we want to be careful with that too.
Okay, got it. All right. Okay, that's all I have for this document. I have a bunch of action items for myself to add some more stuff.
That's great. Can I go over my agenda items? So yeah, open the link. So Maciej mentioned that there is the managed fields. I don't know if you know, but there is frustration over the internet over these managed fields because it's too big and people keep complaining on Twitter. And and so Maciej, thanks to him, he's suggesting that we actually build a cool feature, kind of a git blame using these fields to show why it's useful, because some people don't realize why the fields are useful in the first place. So they're like, why is my object so big with managed fields that serve no purpose? So now Maciej is showing an example of what we can do. And if you scroll down, somebody has implemented it recently.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool.
And you can, yeah, look at the video maybe. The link here, yes. So you can blame pretty much. So that's nothing new, but it's kind of cool to be able to see who owns what.
Nice. Yeah.
That's very cool. So that's exciting. That's all I have.
I didn't get anything about those Twitter posts. That's.
You don't know about these being two verbose?
What?
What did you say before?
I haven't seen any of those Twitter posts. That's new information to me. People complaining about.
Oh, there's a long thread somewhere. I can point to you. It's maybe we probably need to include that in the GA document, because I mean people.
Feedback.
Yeah, people are. I'll find the ticket.
Yeah, I mean we had a few topics about that. I think it's already hidden in edit.
Yes, but people want to look at the object, so they do dash or YAML, and then it's
I do that as well, and but I also complained about the last applied object in the past. So.
Yeah. So people, one suggestion might be. Oh wow, there's a lot of likes on this issue. one solution might be to have a different format and paste it here. Another format, maybe short YAML, so that you can see the thing without the managed fields. There's also maybe the possibility of encoding the managed fields in JSON in one-liner. There's also complaints about the network. It's impacting the network because it's downloading much more data. And we've mentioned that in the past that controllers are caching this data now for no reason. So I suspect maybe we could add a flag on the server to say, I don't care about these fields, don't send them to me, which a controller could use if they don't care about these. And we could have kubectl use it when you use the specific short option.
Yeah, we were talking about this, I don't know, a year ago, and I still think it wouldn't be bad to be able to tell that you don't want them because you rarely need them.
Yeah, so let's add that to the list of items for GA. I think people will want to know that we listen.
Questions where? Should we just add it as a task?
Yeah, I think it's add it as a feature maybe.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Is that all? Anything else?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, same here. And we're on time.
Yeah.
Then we're done here. Thanks for coming, and a nice afternoon, morning, evening, everybody.
Thank you, Karen. See you, everyone.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.